Hey everyone, Django here. So today I'm looking at flying the Spitfire Mk IIb out in realistic. I really felt like that after I came back from work. I wanted to see how I could do in this plane. I also did some historical checking on this plane for you and also bring that to you in this match. So I'll see you in the match. Hey guys, so here we are in the match. As usual, we are trying to get some altitude, just as important as in arcade. Maybe even more important in realistic, as you will meet your opponent. There are more people aware of the usage of altitude. Anyway, we'll be climbing for a bit, so I might as well use the time to tell you something about the history of this plane. The Mark IIs, or also known as the Type 329s. The first steps towards this were made in the summer of 1939, as the first Mark Is were fitted with the new Merlin engine, the 12. After some good tests with this Merlin engine, it was chosen to be used for the production of the Mark IIs. Now this engine had an upgraded 1175 horsepower, with some added benefits in the mixture of certain things in the engine that increase the effectiveness and the reliability of the engine. The new IIs were also equipped with new propeller with wider blades and bigger, more rounded spinner. And these were tested on the Mark Is as well, after big success, also chosen for the Mark IIs exclusively. Now this engine propeller combination really increased the climb rate of the plane and the combat efficiency. The maximum speed didn't really come up due to increased weight of this plane, but like I said, the combat capability was much improved. There were two versions of the Mark II, A, which had 8 machine guns, and the B version with the cannons, the Hispanos. And while this plane started production, there were a little time went over before the RAF was completely re-equipped with this new version, which was completely done by April 1941, which made the Mark Is absolute, and they were sent to operational training units. And I can also inform you that a total of 921 Mark IIs were built. So a pretty well used Spitfire in the early parts of the war. I have flown it extensively in arcade and it's very enjoyable there. This is actually, I don't know if it's my first, but it's one of my first flyouts and the first flyout in a long time. So I was not really aware of any details, and we will come upon these details a little later in the match. But first I tried to tell this PS4 player here that you cannot switch an airfield in realistic by landing on it, which apparently he's done. He seems to be very stationary on the ground there, exactly on the runway. But hey, I've seen more people make that mistakes when they started in realistic. It looks like this guy made the same mistake. Oh well, you know. We've all been there. Or maybe not all of us. But I certainly tried to land once when I just started out. I didn't visit any forums back then, nor watched any videos, nothing at all. But why is this airfield not flipping? So here we are guys at 6,000 meters with an LA5 and an I-16 in my general vicinity. Now we're making a slow turn here while we are still climbing a little bit for the I-16. It's only 3 kilometers away, so I want to be a little careful here that I keep my altitude. checking my right, because that's where any other planes of them would come from. These were the first two I saw, but that may mean that there are more, and there is a Yak 9 approaching as well. So I decide to keep a gentle climb here while I see what this Yak 9 will do. Will he come up and fight, or will he decide to go down into that cloud? Now here I decide to start thinking about an approach here. And the Yak 9 seems to think the better of it and dives down into the cloud there. And there he goes, disappears into the cloud. Which is perfectly fine decision from him, of course, with a Spitfire a couple of kilometers above you. As he probably knows that with this altitude and this energy, if I don't do anything stupid, I have the advantage. Now I'm eyeballing this I-16 here. She seems to be climbing. Now I've got my throttle down to 0, as I don't want to go too fast. If you approach too fast, then I have to do any maneuvers. I've heard the Spitfires are very likely to snap their wings off. I-16 goes into a split S and a dive, evades me there. I decide to go up and re-approach him, but I see that he made a turn for me. 500 meters, and he's trying to get some shots in. So all I do here is look back at him, look where his bullets fly, and try to vary my elevator so that my altitude is constantly, or my climb rate is constantly shifting, and my angle as well, so that he misses his shots. Here I decide to go into a loop, use my rudder, left rudder here, to flip over, and I face down towards him now. I got my engine speed on now. I don't want to lose too much speed here. He's trying to make a split S again. I anticipate it, but I don't give it enough lead. So I just graze him there, put his engine smoking. Here he comes again. Give the right lead now, and I shoot him down. Now I wasted half my cannon rounds with that. But that's okay. We've got plenty of MGs left, if necessary. Now there's 5 of us left here. And 4 of them, I think, 4 or 5 of them as well. Didn't catch that so quickly, but I'm approaching this Yak 9 here. See what he does. He seems to be approaching that Spitfire on my right. There's the LA-5. So I have my throttle set to almost 0. I'm at 500 speed. He takes a turn to the right here. Take my lead. Test shot. I fully unload on him. Shoot him on fire. And destroyed. My second kill. I'm full weapon here. Trying to get some more altitude. That only costed me another 30 cannon rounds. So I've got 30 left. That should be plenty for another kill. And here we have a Yak 1 Hannibal from the WS squadron there, approaching. I tried to warn these guys of enemy approaching, but so all of a sudden all my allies have disappeared. When I looked, I had 5 people left on my team, but now there seems to be only 2. I don't know if I was counting incorrectly, but anyway, there's 2 of us left and 2 of them. So it was actually, with the last guy counted, 3 to 2, sorry. Yak 1 fires, I evade. Doing a sort of displacement roll here. And here I used my flaps, but apparently that doesn't work. I went 300 kilometers, or even slightly less, and my flaps go off. What the hell is that? Anyway, this 1B really stalls out here, and that is the easiest shot of the game so far. But yeah, these flaps on these Spitfires, or at least this Spitfire, I think I went 300. I made a little bit of I was in a rolling scissors with this guy, and at 300 kilometers the flaps break off. I find that really interesting. I can't imagine that is historically correct. I didn't know that, but well, learned something today, I guess. Don't use your flaps, even at those low speeds in a Spitfire. Maybe it varies for different Spitfires, who knows. But so I'm really toying with this Yak now. I mean, he is very heavily damaged. He's flying like a drunken sailor, and he's just postponing the inevitable. And I think he realizes it here, because he turns his plane upside down and he ditches into the ground. I think he had enough. So I level out the plane. I'm thinking about going RTB, because I have only 600 MGs left, no cannons. Then I spot this Li-5 6 kilometers on my 6. I thought I might as well let my teammates know that I'm bringing company. And I can at least give this ally the chance to rearm and get back into the air, so it's 2 versus 1. I mean, why take the risk to go at him separately? That would be a bit foolish. Better 2 to 1, as this is the last fight, I think. Even that B-25 that was on the right side of the map that went my way is gone. I don't know what he did, but maybe he was shot down by AA. That's possible. So I'm doing a bit of communication here with my last remaining teammate. He was part of a squad, so his squad mates are still hanging about as well. So yeah, we got the Li-5 coming in, which Li-5, I have much respect for this plane, as it is in arcade. It's one of my best performing planes. So yeah, of course you never know what kind of pilot is in this plane, but the plane is good, at least in arcade, and I still will have to fly it out a little more in realistic to see how it will do. He's flying over the harbor now, and getting shot at by our ships there. So my ally there is up in the air again. I advise him to get up a little bit more before approaching the enemy. That's always a wise thing to do. But of course he's just taking off, so he doesn't have much energy to climb with. I have 400 speed right now, 1300 altitude. I'm keeping an eye on the dot and on my ally here. So above our airfield now almost. I see the Li-5 is going into a climb. I decide to match it. I want to stay on relatively the same altitude. So I see him leveling out a bit, I do the same. Informing my teammate of the situation of my plane. I'm going into less than 5 minutes of fuel now, and 600 MGs. So here I decide to take action myself. 5 minutes of fuels. I can't land with this guy coming in. I mean, he will evade the other Spitfire and come in for me. That's almost guaranteed, so I can't land safely. And the best way I can help this fully reloaded and restocked Spitfire is to stay in the air. And I still have 600 MG, so that if I aim correctly, that should be no problem. I can still shoot this guy out of the air. So the LA5 doesn't want to go above our airfield. And he is side climbing there a little bit. I decided to approach, see what he will do.
The enemy is winning. We must counterattack.
So here he seems to be turning. And I turn into him a little bit as well. We're roughly on the same altitude, with probably roughly the same speed. He's taking he's grabbing some energy there. I'm giving him my side here so that I can turn into him and make his shot more difficult. So now I'm waiting for the right, here we go, the right moment. So I stop my turn there, go into the vertical, loop over, and trying to get on his 6 here. He goes vertical. I have enough energy to follow. And I shoot him down. A 2 versus 2 duelist title he had there. So he did some dueling, but that was not his smartest move, I think. But a nice game. Enjoyable game. And again with a nice responsive team. People talking to each other. It's always nice to see. So I'll see you guys after the match. So here we are. Let's see what we got. Terror of the Sky, Balancer and Bulletproof. Also last blow. I got 4 kills. Leading the team there with 1647 points. Pretty good, pretty happy with that. And seriously, after I came back from work, the first match I played, very nice. Content to start out like that. Hey guys, so here we are after the match. Now that was a very enjoyable match with some good results and some nice dogfights. This plane is a real joy to fly. In realistic, it's very responsive as well. You can do some nice maneuvers with it. Its battle rating 3.0 in realistic. Pretty fair, I think. Speed 581 kilometers an hour. Turn time fantastic. You know, the stat cards, they are what they are. They're not always right, but in this case, you know, you can see a little differences. So this plane can turn well. Is shown here in the stat card, 14.8. Pretty good. Climb rate 20.8 according to the stat card in realistic. It climbs pretty well. I was the highest plane on the field, I think. Reaching 6,000 meters easily before other guys could reach 5. I don't know how they were climbing, if they were climbing right, but I did alright with this climbing in this plane. Armament 20mm Hispano Mark I cannons with 60 round each, and 4 7.7 Browning machine guns with 1400. Now as for protection, the pilot doesn't have a plate behind him, just the glass for his head. So that's reasonable. Fuel tanks here in front of the pilot. Yeah, so a plane that is very maneuverable in combat, and I think it can match up against a lot of planes. I haven't flown it enough to really give you an exact pronouncement on this 3.0 beta rating, if it's very good, if it's bad or whatever on the beta rating. I think it will be pretty good. It might be able to perform as well on 3.3, but I'd have to fly it out more. But I can say on the 3.7 beta rating it has in arcade, it does pretty well as well. So, oh well. It's all in the stat cards that Gaijin gets, you know, these beta ratings. You shouldn't look much at it. You should just have fun and fly what you want to fly in the meantime. So it was an enjoyable match, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. If you did, make sure to like the video, leave me a comment, and if you want to see more, subscribe. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.